Hello guys and welcome to different Rush channel. From time to time when we go to Moscow, we go along the streets of Ivanteyevka city. That is the city that now you see on your screens. I think that it is a very typical city in Moscow region. So if you come to Ivanteyevka and walk along the streets of Ivanteyevka, you will get the general idea of any city in Moscow region. It is incredibly typical city. Almost all cities in Moscow region look like this. The middle of spring is not the best time to film cities in Moscow region because everything is not very picturesque. You can see a lot of mud on the road, but that is a very typical picture for the middle of spring. The snow is melting and the city, almost every city, looks like this. So guys, today we speak with you about Ivanteyevka city. Ivanteyevka is a rather big city in Moscow region with a population of about 85,000 people. How to get to the city? If you go by car, you should go along Yaroslavskaya highway. The city is located about 13 kilometers to the northeast of Moscow. So it is very easy to get to the city by Yaroslavskaya highway. Some time ago there was a big reconstruction of the highway, and now to get to Ivanteyevka doesn't take as much time as a few years ago when the highway was rather narrow. Also, if you go by train from Yaroslavsky train terminal, that is almost the center of Moscow, near Komsomolskaya metro station. So if you take the train from Yaroslavsky train terminal in 1 hour, you will be in Ivanteyevka. Also rather convenient, I have to say, because you do not depend on the traffic, car traffic. Nowadays, a lot of people prefer to go by train from Moscow and to Moscow because by car it's rather complicated. First of all, because of the traffic jams, and also parking lots in Moscow now are not free, especially in the center of Moscow. So the majority of people who live in Ivanteyevka, they go to Moscow by train or by car. Do a lot of people go to Moscow from Ivanteyevka to work? Yes, a lot of people. That is, guys, very popular to live, for example, somewhere in the suburbs of Moscow, in such cities as Ivanteyevka, for example, in Korolev, in Mytishi, in Reutov, and to work in Moscow. Of course, the salaries in Moscow are higher and the rental prices also are higher. So those people who would like to save some money, they work in Moscow and they live somewhere in the suburbs. So in the morning, a lot of those people who live in Ivanteyevka, they go to Moscow to work, and in the evening they return back home. Of course, in Ivanteyevka, a lot of shops, there are several churches here, all the city infrastructure, so no problems with this. Many kindergartens, about 7 schools, if I'm not mistaken, about 7 schools in Ivanteyevka. So a very good city to live. But also what is good, if you like, you can go to Moscow to work. And if we speak about the history of Ivanteyevka, originally on this very place were many villages. Some of the villages died, but some of them were combined into bigger villages. And in the 19th century, here was a very big village with the name Ivanteyevka. At the end of 1937, in December of 1937, the village Ivanteyevka became the city. There were many factories in the past times, and even now there are 3 big factories work in the city, and of course many people work at those factories. All the factories, if I'm not mistaken, they somehow connected with fabric. They produce fabric or work with fabric, so something like that. And of course, a lot of people who live in the city, they work at those factories. Of course, many people work in shops, in some other organizations. In general, I have to say that Ivanteyevka is a rather good place to live. For example, if you do not like to go to work in Moscow, you can find the work in the city with lower salary, but also it is possible. Also, guys, I have to say that if you live in Ivanteyevka, it is not very necessary to have a private car, because they have a rather good public transport. And also nowadays, as in any city, a lot of taxis, so if it is necessary to get somewhere, you can go not only by public bus, but also by taxi. So guys, hope you got the general idea of the city, of an average city in Moscow region. If you have any questions, ask them in comments. I will also include some episodes that were filmed a few years ago in summertime, so that you could have a look at the center of the city, how it looked a few years ago. And maybe this summer we will also go and film the video. Maybe they have very big changes, who knows. So guys, put thumbs up if you like such episodes. If you have any questions, ask them in comments. And see you soon in another episode. Пока!